What up, nation? Welcome to yet another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS Wise Stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. Give me a follow, say what's up. And I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above. We are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community design to help make you a better DFS player. So if you are new to the channel, you came to the right spot. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we do go live, which is Monday through Friday. We try to do 2 shows a week. At the very least, we will always do the flagship show, which is the NBA Wide Stream, this one right here. On a full slate, we'll start 2 hours prior to lock and take you up until lock. First hour with yours truly going game by game, looking at our projections. And then hour 2, we bring on Paulie. We'll bring on some guests occasionally and, do dirties on the YouTube. Make sure you guys have the latest and greatest with all the late breaking news that could come out. So we take you up until lock. From there, all hell may break loose, but at least we kept you informed all the way up to lock. So hit that like button if you haven't already. We greatly appreciate those of you who do hang out with us and talk the slate down with us and break it down and attempt to dominate the DFS industry as we look to do every single slate. So we appreciate y'all. Hit that like button. Really goes a long way. Allows us to continue to do the free content, and we love doing the free content. Part 1 of the show is just me doing the projections, so anybody who wants to interact, feel free to talk away in the YouTube chat. I will answer as many questions as I can, or just not even questions, but just discuss things with you guys. It's part of the community aspect. You guys are a big part of that community. That's what makes it's not just me, right? It's you guys that make it a community. So appreciate those of you who have been loyal to us for a long time and continue to watch us, and I appreciate those of you who are new, who are able to find us, even though YouTube's not really showing us no love on the search rankings. With that said, I need y'all's help. YouTube, we do everything YouTube asks us to do with the tags, the keywords, and for some reason they continue to disrespect us. They got other people up here that they're choosing to push over us, even though I think we have better production, and to be honest, I think we have better players. And not everyone. I'm not saying we're the best in the world, but I do think that there's no reason YouTube shouldn't be pushing our content, and they should be pushing some of these other people over ours. So I'm going to ask you guys to help. And the way you help is by hitting that like button and sharing this shit. Let's go on a share frenzy. Share this shit on I don't care if you got no followers on your damn Twitter or Instagram, whatever. Share it as many places as you can, because YouTube continues to disrespect us despite the fact that our like ratios stay good. Despite the fact that we use all the proper SEO keywords and all that shit. I'm tired of this bullshit, man. Not beef for that shit. I'm gonna push all these nerdy motherfuckers over us. Tired of that shit. But anyway, back on to positivity. I see Brennan in the chat. Yo, CK, what do you think about Elf and Randall? I think they're sneaky for GPP purposes. Yeah, I don't mind them at all for tournaments. The Knicks obviously getting paced up. We like to target teams getting paced up and all that shit. So we'll get to that game, Brennan, but I can tell you right now, I don't mind it at all for tournaments, and I do think it'll be sneaky. I think a lot of people may be afraid to pull the trigger. Maybe not Randall so much. I've been seeing his name pop up around, but nobody's playing Elf. I can tell you that. Nobody's playing Elf. Charles Walker says WiseTake is the best shit. I agree, and I appreciate you, but unfortunately, YouTube don't seem to see it that way. So again, share this on whatever, I don't care what it is. Whatever platform, I don't care if you got no followers, share it anyway, just so YouTube can understand that they are fucking with the movement. And that's not cool. I don't like being discriminated against, and I feel like YouTube's hating on us. So help us out. Let's do dirties, and let's continue to drop bombs. I like this slate, by the way. It's a big one. There's a lot of options. There's a lot everywhere. My exposures are pretty spread out as of now, but I still like the slate. There's some opportunity to be made. I know a lot of you probably got burned yesterday by the Middleton fiasco. On FanDuel, you definitely got burned. There was no way around that. On DraftKings, hopefully you took advantage of the late swap feature and swapped out of Middleton at the very least. I swapped out of Middleton and DiVincenzo. However, I did raise Powell to like 50%, so I had a profitable day, but nothing to brag about because I still had 50% of my teams with a guy that got hurt after like 2 minutes or something like that. So shit happens, But still ended up making a profit, which was cool considering the wacky ass shit that Milwaukee pulled. That was some bullshit. I don't have a problem with teams resting people and doing all that kind of stuff, but to not inform anyone, you've got people relying on you. You understand that your league, whether it wanted to or not, has embraced gambling in general, whether it be fantasy sports or straight up sports betting, and to not tell people that you were going to do them dirty like that? I mean, you can't tell me that was gamesmanship for Denver. What did you think Denver was going to do? Were you worried about Denver resting their own guys? They've been struggling. So there was really no rhyme or reason for that. I don't know if they thought they were getting cute, trying to get away, avoid a fine, or whatever the case may be. But I hope the NBA does penalize them, because that was some dirty shit that they pulled. And, it really, you really hate to be that way. But it makes me want to root against the Bucks. I mean, it really does. It makes me want to hope there's something. And it's a shame, because it's not the players' fault, right? It's just the coaching. But anyway, enough of my rant, and you guys are probably frustrated enough. And I'm not even somebody who got burnt by the situation. Like I said, I play mostly on DraftKings, so I was able to swap out. And I'm still heated about it, because I know that there are people that I care for in this industry who did get burned by that shit. And that's some fuck shit. No place for that. In this day and age, all this technology, all the beat reporters, everything, there's no way. Shout out to Juice. I see you in the chat. What up, nation? Love it. Loving it. Hit that like button for those of you pouring in. We appreciate you. I'm not going to waste too much more time here. I'll jump on in here and I'll pop back in the chat after the second or third game or so. But we do got some games to get to, so I'm going to go ahead and dive into this now, because this is a genuine slate where I have an idea of what I want to do. We still have news that's going to be coming out, but I also I'm kind of on the line with a lot of these plays. The line is very, very thin. There's a lot of good mid-tier options. There's some value to consider. A lot of good studs, a couple good games. So I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts as we communicate this and talk this out. But hit that like button. Make sure you share this on whatever. I don't care. Facebook. If MySpace is still a thing, do it there. The Instagram, the TikTok. I don't give a damn what it is. If you're able to share this video on there, please do it, because we're going to shove it right up YouTube's you know what. And they better not suspend me for that shit. Freedom of speech. All right. Anyway. First game, we've got the Boston Celtics visiting the Indiana Pacers. We have a 214.5 total that's come down from 215. The Celtics opened up -1.5. They're up to -3.5. In terms of our schedule, I'm just going to pull up our schedule notes that our boy Jay Irv does real quick. For those who may not know, Stevie Brown's cash game article is free. Going forward, we're going to make the cash game article free. It's a cash game breakdown when there's 4 games or more, I think it is. 4 games or less, they still write, but they do, him and Matt our boy Schreibezy, alternate doing the article. When it's not a cash breakdown, it's a slate breakdown where they go game by game. So this is something that was behind our paywall. We're just going to make it free just to give you guys something to read. And ultimately, just because we just really appreciate you guys, and we wanted to show some appreciation and make some more free content as possible. But we are taking a gamble that you guys are going to show us some love and like the videos and everything like that. So hopefully you do that. I'm going to drop a link to the article in the YouTube chat. I'm going to plop that in there. So go check it out whenever you get a chance, and hit that like button to show some love back. But with that said, let's pull up the schedule notes article. That's also a free article. So we have a couple free articles for NBA that we provide on a daily basis at WiseTake.com. And then, of course, you get Paulie D's core, my cheat sheets, my projections, are behind the paywall. That you can get access with a day pass or whatever the case may be if you're looking for that kind of help. With that said, both teams working with a day off. Starting with the Boston side, Kemba Walker's kind of interesting. His price is relatively low. I got him for 33.5 minutes. You'll see 34 because it rounds up. But he played, 31, I think, in his last game. So, and then I think that they're at that point where they kind of not only do I think he's ready, but I think they kind of need him. So I'd be very surprised if he didn't play 33 or more. With that said, we know Brogdon's out on the other side, which is a plus for the matchup. Gordon Hayward, also an attractive option, especially on FanDuel. At 6-1 on DraftKings at 7K. I wasn't getting to a ton because it is a very competitive mid-tier without a ton of separation. But I think on FanDuel, Gordon Hayward is fine. Daniel Tice obviously projecting fairly well on both sites. They are going to need him on the court. They got Robert Williams. They got Cantor. He's not a guy that typically gets 30 minutes when people are healthy. They are missing Jaylen Brown, but obviously not quite enough. So I'm not terribly interested, but I don't mind if somebody wants to take a shot. I do think he'll be very low owned. Marcus Smart is kind of a mediocre option for me. I'm not super interested in that. Jason Tatum, with everybody back, I feel like is overpriced. Don't get me wrong. I think he's phenomenal, and he showed how good he really is. But with everybody healthy, I'm just reluctant to do it. So it's mainly Kemba and Gordon Hayward, I think, if anything. But this isn't a game that I'm overly excited about. I don't know if you could tell. On the Pacers side, similar situation, right? The pace of this game shouldn't be all that great. We have a lot of really good games. We know Brogdon is out, so give a boost to Oladipo, give a boost to Sabonis, TJ Warren, Miles Turner. But I think their prices are kind of right for the spot and for the way they've played. Miles Turner has benefited recently from extended minutes Obviously, this is a good match for him, but they don't need all the bigs, so it wouldn't surprise me if him and Sabonis were staggered a little bit more. And if that's the case, I'm always going to choose to go Sabonis, though I don't know how much I reach of him today on DraftKings at 8-9. Aaron Holiday's playing minutes. I only got him for 30 because his usage rate is ridiculously low with Oladipo there. So if Depot were to get ruled out, maybe I'd look towards Holiday a little stronger. But in the meantime, this is actually a sneaky spot for Depot. I know that so far he's been kind of a disappointment, but at some point last year he forget about last year, over his career he's shown massive upside. So I will say that maybe I should be a little bit more aggressive in his actual projection overall, simply because we know at some point we expect it to kind of click on, and he's been kind of getting there. I think he went for around 30 DraftKings points in his last game. It's going to take a lot more of a minutes boost to really get him to where he wanted to be, but we know that shooting jump shooters, and Oladipo has been over his career a jump shooter. Not that that's all he can do, but we know that jump shooters have had success against Boston. So it wouldn't surprise me if him or TJ Warren or one of these guys that takes a lot of shots do have a good game. With that said, let's keep things rolling to our next game. The New York Knicks visiting the Washington Wizards. We have a 228.5 total, which is up from 227. The Wizards opened up -3.5. They're up to -4.5. In terms of the schedule, both teams are working with 1 day off. However, the Knicks do play tomorrow, so keep that in the back of your head. We have some injury information we're waiting for. Mitch Robinson, I believe, is straight up questionable, is truly questionable. And we are waiting for news on that. If Mitch Robinson gets ruled out, I will gladly load up on Bobby Portis, and I wouldn't even think twice. He would become probably one of, if not my favorite value plays on the slate. But if Mitch Robinson is in, which is what we have everything projected for, I think Mitch himself is a decent tournament play. Elf and Randall are the main two I'm looking at here, though. Both of them have seen minute reductions. They're just not really willing to push them to that 36-minute mark that we saw Randall play earlier this season. It's disappointing, but also keep in mind that their prices have come down a bit to where they're within reach. I'm good with both of them for tournaments. I think Elf in particular will be extremely low owned. And it's a phenomenal matchup for both. Washington, a very fast-paced team that does not play defense. So I think there is some tournament upside here. I like the Elf-Randall correlation, though I also think you could take shots on them separately. Again, Mitch Robinson, I think, is a tournament option. But if he's out, I'll be even more excited to look towards Bobby Portis. The last guy I'll mention here is R.J. Barrett. Just kind of tough to predict. Usually, we need someone out to be able to consider. He's been another one. Beginning of the season, they were playing him massive minutes. And then he got hurt. And ever since then, they've been reluctant to play him or anyone else too big a minutes. So I'll keep that in the back of my head going forward. But I do think that Elf and Randall are fine for tournaments. And keep your eye on Bobby Portis. If Mitch Robinson does get ruled out, I'd be willing to load up there. He's been dealing with, he's got an illness, so I don't really know. He had a hamstring issue, but then he played anyway against Detroit, which is a nut matchup. But apparently he's had some sort of illness he come down with. That coronavirus shit getting scary, huh? On the Washington side, Troy Brown projecting really well for us. I kind of had to fight him off. He's played minutes. I think his true minute projection should be around 38, but I would feel more comfortable if we knew for sure Jonathan Williams was out, which I don't think we've heard that officially yet. We have him out for now, which is why Troy Brown was getting the minutes. But as a matter of fact, he's an Achilles, so I should probably put him back in if we haven't heard by now that he's going to be out. We know that Ish is still out. But as far as Troy Brown goes, I had to lower his minutes. I mean, we were getting a ton of him, so I had to just lower them anyway. But I did forget to add in Jerome Robinson, so I'm going to take care of that right now, actually. Bear with me a second. I just want to update these so that our WiseTake Nation members who use them are getting everything as accurate as possible. It's not going to... I already underprojected Troy Brown's minutes, so it's not going to change him a ton. To be honest with you, I'm a little nervous about him, but the last two games he's played over 30 minutes and he's played relatively well. Well enough, at least, to where if he's going to be this cheap and he's actually going to play in the rotation. He was basically almost out of the rotation for a little bit there. So I'm going to do a mass edit real quick. Give me 1 second while I generate this shit. Make sure the nation is getting everything they need. So I got Beal massively 40. Shabazz played like, 41 minutes against the Heat? That shit was crazy. Gonna leave that there. I think Rui Hach is due for a bounce back game. He had a really shitty game. Just by playing massive amounts of minutes. Oh no, I did have Jerome Robinson in. Oh, that's Jonathan Williams. Shit, my bad. I had it right the whole time. I was sitting here doing this for nothing. My bad. So yeah, Troy Brown a little reluctant. If Jerome Robinson gets ruled out, I'll be a little more into the Troy Brown idea. But Shabazz Napier also kind of sneaky. Knicks have been getting destroyed by point guards. So it's the Knicks side that's more appealing. I'm cool with Bradley Beal at this price. His usage has been like amongst the highest, maybe I think the highest in the entire league since the All-Star break. So I'm always fine with Beal, especially against the Knicks. I'm a little more interested in Shabazz, and the projection show is kind of hard to project which way. If Jerome Robinson gets ruled out, I like that a little more because I think his minutes will be elevated at that point. But Thomas Bryant, another one, they said he's going to be on a minutes limit. However, he did play 24 minutes 2 games ago. In his last game, he fouled out very early. 6 fouls, but assuming that this limit is 24, which is what he played the other day, obviously there's some upside at that $3,900 price on DraftKings. But Troy Brown was the one that I was getting the most of. He's a guy we have to make a decision on. Curious to hear your thoughts on Troy Brown, so drop a line in the chat. Let me know what you think of him. Like I said, the last 2 games he's played over 30 minutes and he's played well, and he's 3,700 on DraftKings. Holla at a PM. All right, hit that like button if you haven't already. We're going to keep things rolling. We getting some updates here. Let me a second here. Check out this news action. Oh, Isaac Bonga just got ruled out. How about that? So Isaac Bonga ruled out. Slate breaker, I know. Everybody don't panic. But that's obviously going to help. Jerome Robinson's still considered a game time decision. So we will have to revisit that at some point. And that may solidify Troy Brown's role. It may also cause us to look at Shabazz Napier, being that they'd be out of guards. But Troy Brown, definitely got to keep an eye on. His spot's going to get better and better as more people get ruled out. Let's move it on to the next. We've got the Minnesota Timberwolves visiting the Houston Rockets with the highest total on the board. I'll pop in the chat after this one. I'm going to pop in the chat after this one. So we've got a 247.5 total, and that's risen 3 points from 244.5. The Rockets are currently 12.5 point favorites, though they've looked horrible. Minnesota is not a good team, but the Rockets have looked terrible. So very surprised to see them favored by this much over anyone. Both teams are working with a day of rest. Houston is in the 4-6. They're not in a back-to-back, but they are in the midst of a 4-6. I like Minnesota. I'm trying to figure out a way to get more. Zeroing in on which Minnesota guys you want outside of game stacks, it can be a little difficult. Hard to gauge whether Juancho Hernan-Gomez is going to do it. His projection doesn't really like where he's at. He's not playing minutes that they're like crazy above that. Naz Reid is a very high pumping minute type player. How many minutes he's going to get, I'm not sure. Is Houston going to force them small? When teams have a lot of confidence in their center, when their center is a true part of the game plan, like Vooch or whatever the case may be, that's not going to happen. They're just going to play their game. However, I don't know how committed Minnesota is to Naz Reid. I don't think they'd have a problem playing James Johnson at the 5 and going smaller. So I have some reservations about projecting Naz higher than he is now. On FanDuel, he projects for over 6x. On DraftKings, there's still some work to do at 6K. With that said, I do like Malik Beasley. He's the one that kind of makes sense from both angles. I think he's going to take a ton of shots. He's taken around 20-something shots a game as is. He's a little scoring dependent. But again, this is a guard-heavy Houston team that they're playing. So I think we're going to see a heavy guard front in return from Minnesota, which brings me to D'Lo. Don't mind him as a potential spend-up. I think his ownership could end up actually being somewhat low as most people look at the studs on the other side of the game. So Beasley would be my favorite Minnesota Timberwolf. Naz Reid would be the easy answer. Now, I'm going to have to do something here between Juancho Hernan-Gomez, James Johnson. I will have a rule set to not give me James Johnson with Naz Reid because I do think that they negatively correlate. But there's something here, right? This is definitely a game stackable game, highest total on the board. And Houston has looked like shit. It's hard to imagine Houston blowing anybody out right now the way they've looked. So I'll have a good amount of Malik Beasley, and we'll make some decisions on Naz Reid. I'll talk to Paulie on the second hour and kind of see what his thoughts are. How he plans on approaching it. But this game is going to be a game you're going to want some of, no doubt. On the Houston side, Robert Covington, this is a revenge spot, but that aside, I just think he's going to play massive amounts of minutes because it fits against Minnesota. I do like Westbrook over Harden, but I do like Harden as well. I'm looking at about 40% Westbrook, 30% Harden the last time I looked. Somewhere around 30% Covington, which is kind of a lot when I actually look at the breakdown of what I had. There's just a lot of good players and some really good spots. After that, I'm not really interested. It's really those main three for me. If Eric Gordon were to get ruled out or somebody extra, then maybe we can look at Daniel House, who I think is fine. It's just kind of hard to project his minutes. But I definitely like Covington, Westbrook, and Harden. I think this is a situation where you could play Westbrook and Harden together. Obviously, this total is massive. This pace is anticipated to be massive. So there is a world where both players are efficient enough to return tournament value at their prices. Now, I'm not saying you have to, but I think if there ever was a day to do it, it's going to be on a day like this where they're against another very fast and poor defensive team. Victor Oladipo will play. Just got that confirmation. Anything new come in? Nope, that's it. That's the latest and greatest. So that's where I'm at. But definitely, like I said, this is a game that I'm definitely going to want some substantial exposure to. For sure. For sure. I'm going to pop in the chat in a second. This fucking bastard thing. Let's pop up in that chat and see what the nation is talking about. Oh, jeez. Yeah, Charles Barker says Lou Williams is out. Yes, sir. Yes, he is. Remember, no Jalen to clamp up either from Tenelson. Absolutely. Crazy Eyes Portis night. Yeah, we'll have to see if he's ruled out. Yeah, absolutely. Tenelson says, damn, I had Bonga locked. I'm sure you did. Mr. OG DFS, if Dorian Finney-Smith is out for Dallas, I like Justin Jackson better than Troy Brown. We can analyze that situation. We'll wait and see if we get the news. But we can analyze that situation. I feel like Justin Jackson is like his point per minute average is extremely low. But we will take a look at it. Mr. OG DFS says Jeff Green has been getting minutes. He's cheap. Definitely an option. I think I would rather play Troy Brown than Jeff Green, to be honest. Only if we get a couple more guys out. But we'll have to see. So Nelson, neck tap for show, neck tap balling. He has been balling, man. In limited minutes, he's been just doing dirties. Mr. OG DFS, I've been taking Malik with JJ or Reed. It's tough, right? I agree. It's JJ or Reed. Either James Johnson or Reed. It's a matter of which one. Arizona drama. Remember how we talked earlier about DeRozan? We are off him now. Are we off him now since Aldridge is back? Yeah, a little bit. I do think DeRozan will get some time running the offense due to the injury to DeJounte Murray. I know they have Patty Mills and Derek White. But I think that DeRozan will see some time running the offense. So I'm not totally off of him, but I do want to lower my exposure substantially now that LMA is back. In fact, curious to see if LMA is on any kind of limitation because LMA is extremely cheap for the situation that he's in. Going up against Dallas, who's been terrible against bigs recently. Brennan says Houston is projected to score 11 points above their season average. I think a Westbrook, Covington, or Harden. Covington makes a lot of sense. I love it. I like them both. I prefer Westbrook. I'm cool with even both of them, to be honest with you. Brennan, I love that spot. I agree. You're getting the fastest team in the league, Houston, in a points plus. This projected pace is just going to be wild. Arizona Drama says PG-13 has been my lock since this morning. Yeah, I feel you. And now Lou Will is out, which certainly helps your case. GQ Rock 007. What's up, GQ? Favorite center plays. We'll get there, man. There's a lot. I see Nick had mentioned Drummond. He's definitely an option with Tristan Thompson out. We've got a lot to get to, so I'll kind of go through and I'll pull up some of the ones that I'm ending up with at the end, and hopefully we get some news before we get to that second hour. But I'll come back to that GQ. Remind me at the end, and I'll try to come back and do the dirty. But you know we're here until 7, so we'll be here. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Look, we're gonna keep things moving right here with the Dallas Mavericks visiting the San Antonio Spurs. Right on cue. We have a 227.5 total. Dallas opened up -3. They're up to -3.5 at the moment. In terms of schedule, both teams have had a day off. Dallas is on the front end of a back-to-back, and I think Luka is questionable with an illness, so I wouldn't be surprised if he did sit. Now, that's not me saying I think he will, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did, only because I think he's also dealing with a wrist injury and also dealing with a thumb injury. So they have him up there for his wrist. So we'll see if he plays or not. But the fact that they play tomorrow made me think maybe he will sit. But anyway, that's all speculation. I'm going to pull up Dallas here. So Dorian Finney-Smith projecting as a decent value option. We are waiting on his status. He's questionable after missing a couple games. Luka Doncic would be another alternative stud. I think his ownership would come in a little lower owned than Westbrook and Harden's. Food for thought. I still like Westbrook and Harden better, but I mean, honestly, it'd probably be Westbrook because of his price, then Luka if I was ranking guards. We still have Anthony Davis. We have to calculate into this on LeBron James, but we'll get there. Porzingis has played really well. Whether LMA's in or not, the Spurs have given a ton of points in the paint to bigs. The issue for me with Porzingis is that he's not really that kind of big. He likes to shoot from the perimeter, and he's good at it. Not to say they can't cover him there either, but the whole point in taking bigs against the Spurs is you're getting a lot of high percentage shots. So curious to see if Porzingis takes advantage of that. I expect Tim Hardaway Jr. to play a ton. We know Seth Curry is still out. We know Jalen Brunson is still out. So there's some upside with those guys. Unless we get an injury to Luka or Porzingis, and if they decide to sit one of them, I wouldn't be surprised if Luka sat today, Porzingis tomorrow. But, well, again, I'm just speculating. I don't want to put ideas in anybody's head. Until we get the news, it is what it is. So if things are the way they are with everybody in, I'm okay with Porzingis. I'm okay with Luka. I'm not, super thrilled with either. But, again, if one of them gets ruled out, the other one becomes an elite play. On the Spurs side, so with DeJounte Murray out, I'm going to pull the numbers up, go over it with you guys. We got Podol out, Lonnie Walker out, DeJounte Murray out. So, from what we have from this season, let me make sure it's on this season. LaMarcus Aldridge, 21.7% usage rate, 1.06 fantasy points per minute. DeMar DeRozan, 28.1% usage rate, 1.29 fantasy points per minute. Derek White, 17% usage, 0.84 fantasy points per minute. Patty Mills, 16.2% usage, 0.68 fantasy points per minute. Not great, right? DeRozan gets a 1% boost. LMA's actually seen a 2% decline with no DeJounte Murray. Kind of interesting. But with that said, that's the reason I'm still kind of okay with DeMar DeRozan. He's not necessarily my favorite play on the board, and he's at a very competitive position. I will acknowledge that. But I don't think I want to bail completely simply because, number one, this is a matchup he's excelled against this season. He's done really well against Dallas. And number two, he's still a good player at a decent price. So if everybody's going to bail, it's not as good with LMA back. But DeJounte Murray is still out, and he's got decent usage rates when he is on the court. So again, I don't think he's a top play anymore, but I am somewhat interested. And again, even LMA is so cheap that I don't hate the idea of even playing them together. If you're doing a game stack, I think you should play them together at this point. With their prices the way they are. They're both more appealing on DraftKings where they're cheaper. But I'm definitely interested in Patty Mills, Derek White, Bryn Forbes. These guys are going to play a lot of guard minutes. So no DeJounte Murray. That's one less guy that they're going to have to shuffle in there and rotate in for minutes. I think Patty Mills at 3,100 on DraftKings can take you a little bit further. Derek White, you actually need him to perform. But I think White sees the majority of the minutes. So I'm fine with both of those guys for value. And we'll see if there's anything better that opens up along the way. Moving on to the next. We've got the Orlando Magic visiting the Memphis Grizzlies. So I can tell you guys right out the gate, this is a game that I really wasn't getting to a ton. It's not that I didn't want to. It's just the way things worked out from a projection standpoint. I just wasn't getting a lot. So we've got a 220 total here down from 223. The Magic opened up as 2-point underdogs, so now 2.5-point underdogs. Orlando's had 1 day off. Memphis has had 2 days off. Starting with the Orlando side, Vooch obviously gets a big usage increase without Evan Fournier and the other ones who've been out. DJ Augustine is another interesting option for a guard. He's been seeing a minutes increase since Fournier's gone out. Marco Carter-Williams has played well off the bench, but it's been Augustine who has gotten the majority of the minutes. Terrence Ross didn't get a ton of minutes last time out. That's because his team destroyed Houston and he came off the bench, so there just wasn't any need for him. And this game I expect to be a little bit closer because Memphis has played well. And in that scenario, I do think Ross gets his 34 minutes and is an interesting tournament play today as well. Aaron Gordon coming off an awesome game. His price is coming back down to earth a little bit. I overprojected his minutes because he's still excelling in this role with no Fournier, no Isaac. Pretty much since he got dissed during the slam dunk contest, he's been a different player, the Aaron Gordon that we used to know. Markelle Fultz, I think, is a strong tournament option, especially on FanDuel at 4,900. Memphis has struggled against guards, not named Trae Young for some reason. They just seem to own Trae Young, but they have struggled against guards in general. Markelle Fultz was one of the players that we looked at the other day with Fournier out, sees a pretty sizable usage increase, and it showed in that first game, not so much in the second. So assuming that he's good to go and healthy, we know he was suffering from cramps the other day. I don't mind him at all in this matchup against Memphis, though, again, with the pricing the way it is, I would be more likely to reach him on FanDuel than on DraftKings. Holla. The Memphis side just didn't look great to me. Obviously, the pace boost here goes to Orlando. Orlando is actually one of the slowest teams in the game. With that said, Memphis's minutes have also been kind of tough to configure. I do think that Joval is in a situation where they may have to play him. Gorgie Dieng just wouldn't stand a chance against Vooch. However, if there is any kind of foul trouble, whatever the case may be, that could certainly mess things up. Real quick, we did just get some news that LeBron James is now probable, and Steph Curry has been officially ruled out. So we'll have to make some adjustments to those projections once we get there. But Steph Curry has officially been ruled out. I'm just going to start taking some notes to make sure that when we're on the transition here, I remember to update some of these other ones. But yeah, on the Memphis side, like I said, it was tough. I think Joval's minutes the most secure if he stays out of foul trouble. John Morant, certainly an option, but his minutes have been inconsistent. Dylan Brooks has kind of been inconsistent. The whole team, I just really didn't know what to do with Memphis. So I can tell you right now, I'm not going to end up with a lot of Memphis players, if any. And I'm okay with that. This slate is big enough. Unless this game goes to 2 overtimes, it's just hard for me to envision me needing it. But I just said that. So keep in mind that if it does happen, I'm the one that put the jinx on. And that's how we rolled. Ooh, Dwight Howard ruled out for the Lakers. That could also be interesting. We will get to that game. Later on. All right, let's keep things rolling here. One more game, and then I'll pop into the chat before we end up with the last three. All right, is it the last three? Yeah. So the Cleveland Cavaliers at the Chicago Bulls. We have a 217.5 total. The Bulls opened up -3.5. They're up to -4 at home. Both teams working with a day off. Cleveland is in the midst of a 3-4, which is significant for them because they are missing a lot of players, and they're playing with like a 6, 7, 8-man rotation right now, which is pretty wild. With that said, Cleveland looks great. I really have nothing else to say. Tristan Thompson is out along with Kevin Porter Jr., along with Darius Garland, and they just don't really want to play Dean Wade, Ante Zizic, Matt Mooney. They just don't seem to want to play these guys. So what that means is they're playing super tight rotations. I mean, you can see it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players that are actually in their rotation that are actually projected for minutes. And the only one that I think I'm not interested in is Alfonso McKinney. But the rest of these guys, I'm interested in. Kevin Love played 39 minutes in his last game. Cedi Osman is like not leaving the court. With Tristan Thompson out, they've played Andre Drummond over 30 minutes in 2 straight games, and now he has a matchup against Chicago. Tough, very tough. Colin Sexton has been a mid-tier monster. Larry Nance, because of the Thompson injury, ended up playing like 40-something minutes. They're playing him alongside Love and Drummond at times, so he's actually playing some 3. What's not to like? These guys are going to get a ton of minutes. They're shorthanded. And I really don't think Cleveland's going to be all that popular because a lot of their prices have come up. Maybe Drummond is popular. But I think for the rest of the guys, their prices have come up. And there's some value elsewhere that may lure people away from the mid-tier build. So I think Cleveland is definitely stackable, even with this total being what it is. They're just too thin. Minutes equals money. Shorthanded teams are a cheat code to get more minutes, which should equal more money. So I'm definitely interested in Cavs. I think Dellavedova is still a fine value play. I think that Larry Nance is going to play a ton of minutes on FanDuel, super strong play, and I'm cool with him on DraftKings. Sexton on FanDuel is ridiculously cheap, and I'm cool with him on DraftKings as well. We did just get a note that Kemba Walker will be limited to 30 to 32 minutes, so something to keep in mind. Kevin Love's playing big minutes. I love all of them. The only one that I don't think I have interest in is Alfonso McKinney. And I will say this, Osman's kind of tough on DraftKings at 5.4. You just feel like you could find somebody else with more upside. But with that said, on FanDuel at 4.4, I'd still be fine with it. So Cleveland ridiculously underpriced on FanDuel. It's a joke. On DraftKings, they're probably a little, I would say they're closer to appropriate where their prices are, but still, with the situation being that it is, these guys are going to get like minimum 36 minutes apiece and probably upwards of around 40 each. So I'm definitely interested in the Cleveland side. The Chicago side, I'm not as interested. I think Kobe White makes a lot of sense. We know he's finally going to start. Cleveland has struggled against point guards for the last 2 years because Colin Sexton is a terrible defender. So I do like Kobe White. I obviously jacked up his minutes because to reflect some of the usage increase with no Levine. Wendell Carter is an interesting value play, probably more so on FanDuel for me. Shaq Harrison's a big question. So I think over the last 2 games, Harrison's played 30 minutes. He's actually played minutes. I think we are still waiting on the news of Arcidiacono. That could have some impact for me because they were playing him over Shaq Harrison before. If Arcidiacono were to miss, was that March 4th was the last time he played? So yeah, in the game that Arcidiacono last played, which was on the 4th of March, Shaq Harrison got 29 minutes. Since then, his minutes have been through the roof. He got 34 minutes against the Pacers, 36 minutes against Brooklyn. So assuming he gets that run again, I have him at 28. So if Arcidiacono gets ruled out, I'll raise him up to 30 or more, which is obviously going to make him really pop, and he'll become a top option. I expect Shaq Harrison to be pretty popular, and it could be for good reason. Just kind of depends on how this plays out. But definitely a player to keep your eye on. I'm waiting for the Arcidiacono news so I can solidify. I'm just a little nervous to say for sure that he's going to get into the 30 when you got like Otto Porter, Lauri Markkanen, and Wendell Carter. They're all still limited, but slowly getting more run. And this is a guy that, again, they were playing Arcidiacono over this dude in the past. So I'm a little reluctant to believe they'll continue to just play him the way they've played him. Matter of fact, I'm going to go look that up real quick on March 4th. To be sure, Chicago played Minnesota that day. Arcidiacono got full run. I mean, he played throughout the entire game, so it looked like the Shaq Harrison thing was just something that they just decided to do. I don't know why they didn't do it. But even then, Shaq Harrison barely played in the third quarter. In the second quarter. He barely played in the second quarter and played all the third quarter, and then he closed. Just weird. But again, with Arcidiacono out the last 2 games, the over 30-minute thing has been, solid. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. Porter smashed in limited minutes the other day. You can take shots at him and Markkanen if you'd like, but I think there's too many good plays elsewhere, so I'm not going to really play that game. So waiting on the Arcidiacono news, which would make me raise Shaq Harrison. Either way, I think Shaq is probably fine, and I expect him to be somewhat popular. Let me pop into the chat real quick. Pop here real quick. Pop in here right quick. So is Booker the play now or LeVert? And I love Harden, Covington. Yeah, I like Covington a ton today, and the guards Westbrook and Harden. We'll get there. I do like LeVert. We'll get to him as well. We'll get to Dinwiddie. We have a lot of plays. Like I said, we have a lot of plays to get to. There's a ton, man. It's a big slate. We got some injury news. We got some guys under price. It's gonna be wild. Arizona, Cody Mayfield, Daniel D. I'm sorry, I skipped Daniel D. Yesterday was a crap storm. I cashed with a 260. Oh, hey, you cash, man. I'll take it. Keep the positivity and roll with it. I feel you. Arizona drama. I'm leaning towards LeVert because it lets me get Covington, and LeVert has the most upside. I agree. LeVert is playing awesome out of his mind. His minutes look good, everything. Our boy OG MG, maybe set a rule of max 2 between Forbes, Mills, and White. I think that's a good idea. You're going to need something there because they all project well. Dre Russell, hey CK, please help me. I'm trying to find the best site I can go for stats, just like the one you have on here. So these aren't stats up here, just to be clear. These are projections. So what I have listed for FanDuel and DraftKings, this is something that I compiled. And, I set the minutes, and there's already point per minute calculations, which I pick up from Basketball Reference. You can get them from stats.nba.com. And I built a sheet like everyone else does, not something that's unique to me. Pretty much everybody that has projections does them this way. And you calculate their point per minute average. You can factor in variables like pace. You can factor in variables like matchup, all that kind of stuff if you'd like. But the stats themselves are pulled from Basketball Reference. What you see on the screen is their actual projection. So I make a minute calculation, and based off their point per minute average, it gives me a projection that incorporates pace, etc. And from there, we compare it to the price to figure out what their value is. These projections are available. It doesn't look like this. You just get the actual projections at WiseTake.com if you have access via a day pass. If you want to try it out, $2.50. Or if you're a monthly member, you get access to the Slack and all that shit too. But the projections, that's what it comes with. So I'm showing you them on the screen. But if you want to see the actual projections to see who ranks the best, all that kind of stuff. Also, our cheat sheets are now tied into our projections. So whenever I make an update to the projection, it automatically updates the cheat sheets and it ranks them per tier, per position. So just to be clear on that, Dre, hopefully that helps. But if you just want the stats themselves, you can find it at Basketball Reference. You can also find it at stats.nba.com. Smashing. Kobe's going to shoot 10 plus threes today. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. Smashing. Nick says, I'm stacked. Oh, I'm sorry. Z3L, what do you think about McGee with Dwight out? We'll get there. I think it's definitely helpful for McGee. But it could also mean more minutes for Kyle Kuzma. So there's a couple different ways to approach it. Nick says, I'm stacking the Knicks Wizards game. I'm all for it. I don't got no problems with that. I got no problems with that, man. It's one of the good-looking games. We have a few good-looking games. That's one of them. Brennan, do you like Valentine much? Looks like he's getting decent ownership. I wasn't really into it. I mean, he's got the upside. On FanDuel, maybe you're referring to FanDuel. I think over there, he was significantly cheaper. I'll pull it up. I got it right here. Where are you at? Yeah, 3,900 on FanDuel. Yeah, I'm interested in that. 5-1 on DraftKings. We could probably do better. The usage has looked really strong for him, but at the end of the day, he still only got 23 minutes against Brooklyn. Granted, he got into some foul trouble, but as Porter and these guys get more minutes, his are going to start to decline. With that said, on FanDuel at 3,900, I think that's absolutely fine. I actually like that. I'll go as far as saying I like that on FanDuel at 3,900. Holla. All right, I'm going to keep it rolling. We got 3 more games to get to. We've got the Phoenix Suns visiting the Portland Trailblazers. Let's pull this up. We've got a 232.5 total, down from 233.5. Portland opened up -4.5. They're still at 4.5. Phoenix has had a day off. Portland's had 2 days off. I expect Phoenix to get dusted today. Regardless, if you are betting, I would probably bet on Portland. Regardless, Devin Booker is fine. I think his price on DraftKings is a little crazy at 8.8, but we understand with the usage. If Ayton is out, even more so. If Ayton is in, then I think Booker may be a little overpriced. Though I will say Portland's been one of the best teams to target against in fantasy. If Ayton does play, I think he's fine on both sides. From a price perspective, I'll raise his minutes if he is going to play. I put him at 34 conservatively. Maybe he's limited. I'm not sure. But he's the guy they were playing 36, 37. We'll have to see. We know in his absence, Aaron Baines went nuts on these guys just a couple days ago. Ricky Rubio's been playing out of his mind. Ayton being back could affect his shot input, but also give him another target to get assists through. So I'm okay with him for game stacks. Mikal Bridges is playing monster minutes. If Ayton is back, it's obviously going to affect Baines and Sarge the most. I think their minutes would decline. And I think that Ayton himself would become probably the best play, in my opinion, unless they announce that he's limited from the Phoenix Suns. I'm not as interested in the Suns as you would think. Now, if Ayton is out, we'll give a boost to Rubio. We will give Booker a slight boost as well. Sarge will at least raise his minutes up over 30. And then Baines would once again be a phenomenal play at center. Do we expect another 60 burger? I don't know. I don't know about all that, but you could expect him to see big minutes because of Whiteside. On the Portland side, Damian Lillard is underpriced. I'm going to get some exposure to him. I wish I had a good feeling on whether he was ready to be, if he was ready to go back to Dame time, because I would play the shit out of him at these prices. He's way too cheap for the upside he's shown this year. However, since coming back from the injury, he's kind of been slow rolling it, kind of been easing his way in, which kind of makes me a little reluctant to go too heavy on him. So I do think that he's somebody worth taking a shot on, but also kind of want to see a wait and see approach before I go heavy. So maybe somewhere around 20%, I'll be 20 to 30, something like that. But as far as pricing goes, if he never got hurt, this price would be a lock. This is way too cheap. And the matchup is phenomenal against Ricky Rubio. Trevor Ariza is okay. Melo's okay. Probably more game stack pieces. Obviously, this is a smash spot for Whiteside regardless of whether Ayton is in or not. He's just in a really good spot. Phoenix has been terrible against centers all year. Whiteside just exploded on these guys. And I would honestly expect more of the same. I don't think anything's really changed. So I would really just expect more of the same from these guys here. But a game stackable game for sure. One of the higher totals on the board, and I don't think it's going to have a lot of ownership because you got a lot of games you got to get through to get here. Plus, once you get up to these 10 o'clock games, you still got the Nets and Lakers, the Clippers and Warriors, which we'll talk about. So there's still some other ways to go. I think you can get some low ownership. So definitely a game stackable game in which I don't mind as much about the pricing because I'm always willing to overpay in a game stack. Holla. Let's keep it rolling. We've got the Los Angeles Clippers visiting the Golden State Warriors. Pull it up. Where we at? We've got a 228 total that's up 1.5 points from 226.5. The Clippers opened up -12. They're down to -11. Clippers have had 1 day off. The Warriors have had 2 days off. We do know that Lou Williams has been ruled out. So in terms of the guards, it's going to be a boost there. I think Reggie Jackson and Patrick Beverley are going to rival the Patty Mills, Derek White conversation. Curious on who you guys prefer. But I do expect these two to split the minutes at point guard and actually get some run. I also expect Paul George and Kawhi to see a little boost, whichever one primarily gets to play on the second unit. Without Lou Will, they're going to have to split these guys up a little bit, and that player is going to have to shoot to cover up some Lou Will. Reggie Jackson, we know, likes to shoot a lot. Pat Beverley, not so much as an offensive type player, but I think that you have the Spurs, and right now the projections are kind of pushing us there. But I'm curious to have a little pause and say maybe we want to be more on the Clippers at lower ownership, their guard situation, of course. Marcus Morris, maybe with no Lou Williams, we see him get a little bit more aggressive. In the meantime, I've had to underproject his minutes because his new role just sucks. Montrezl Harrell in that second unit, sucks not to have Lou Will, but I'm sure Reggie can run the pick and roll. He's done it with Drummond for a long time. And obviously the Warriors have been awful against center. So I think the Clippers are definitely worth looking into. Like I said, the Reggie Jackson, Pat Beverley situation is certainly interesting in comparison to the Patty Mills, Derek White situation. On the Golden State side, Marquise Chris, I continue to like. We do have to make an update here to adjust for Steph Curry. So let's see if we can take care of that while we're up here. So I was going to have adjusted Steph Curry. With him out, that obviously sucks. But I do think we'll see Damian Lee get a minutes boost. I guess we'll see Jordan Poole actually get to play some. His minutes have been way down ever since Steph Curry came back. And Poole is 4-1. I actually don't mind that at all. Let me see. Come up in here. Let's pull him up. And we'll go through and adjust these minutes together real quick. Though. Speaking of if you haven't already hit that like button, guys, please hit that like button. Really, really helps us out. So please smash it away. It's much appreciated and allows us to continue to do dirties. And also share this shit, man. Share this shit on your Twitter, on your Instagram, on your Facebook. YouTube's being a dick. That's the bottom line. YouTube's being a dick. They're not pushing us, even though I'm doing all the SEO stuff. Our like ratio is off the charts. Everything. They choose to, go to the people that have the backing or whatever. I guess it is what it is. They can suck it. All of them. With that said, shit. All right, hold up. Just give me a second to adjust these. You guys can follow along on the screen. You'll see it. Mass edit mode. So obviously it's a boost for Wiggins, right? So Steph Curry we got to eliminate. I'm going to give Wiggins a little boost here. Yeah, I would think that. So Marquise Chris already, I'm not going to touch him because he already projects pretty well. Maybe I can give him a little some. I was just concerned earlier about getting too much of him, but actually I wasn't really getting a lot. So I'll bump him up to 30. That's going to help him out greatly. Damian Lee, we'll give a boost to as well. I'll give a little some to Mr. Eric Paschal. Mulder and Poole should benefit the most from a minutes perspective. We already have Mulder at around 29 minutes. The problem is he's just not projecting well. At least not on DraftKings. I put him up at 30. We'll see what happens. I don't think a ton's going to change. I'll kind of wait for it to catch up. Yeah, not really much changed. He's 4-2 now on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I think there's some meat on the bone still. I don't know. Jordan Poole, we got at 20. I guess I can give him 22. I'm just a little reluctant to go too heavy on him. Because even without Steph there, they just haven't really wanted to play him much, which I don't really understand. Toscano Anderson, I think, will get a boost from this. And then I guess Chase and Randall, who they have there, I don't really know what to give him, but I guess he could see a boost. I don't want to be too crazy with his minutes. So we'll see what the changes reflect with no Steph Curry. Marquise Chris looks even better. Toscano Anderson actually does look like a pretty strong value play at this point at 3,500. Andrew Wiggins looks a little more attractive. Damian Lee is pretty close to being within reach. Maybe we give him a little something to get him there. Paschal still needs some work on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, Paschal looks pretty strong. Like I said, Michael Mulder. Let me look at Mulder real quick because I know he's been getting big minutes. 32 against Philly. I'll give him 32. It's not going to make that much of a difference. But Marquise Chris is still the mainstay. Toscano Anderson looks like an interesting value option. Damian Lee becomes a decent mid-tier option. But there's nobody here that I'm seeing that looks better than what we have at other positions elsewhere. I will say this, even though the Clippers are supposed to be known for this great defense, they've been horrible defensively for the last few weeks. So it's not the worst idea in the world to come here at some low ownership with the late game action. Last game here, and then we bring on Paulie D and do the second hour. We got the Brooklyn Nets visiting the Los Angeles Lakers. We've got a 228 total that's up from 226.5. Oh no, shit, I fucked that up. We have a 224.5 total that's up from 223.5. So my apologies on that one. The Lakers opened up -12, down to -11.5. We did just hear Dwight Howard is out, so we got some work to do here as well. We're gonna do it. Well, first we got Brooklyn, right? So I've had to fight Taurean Prince off all day. He's playing anywhere from 27 to 29, or really 27 to 30 minutes. His price has gotten to a point that's a little ridiculous on DraftKings, admittedly. And I do not like Taurean Prince. It's one player that I just I don't like playing him is what I mean. At highest exposures. I'm not saying I don't like playing him ever. I don't like playing him at high exposures. Nothing personal against the dude, right? But I have to admit he projects really well, even with a conservative minute projection. DeAndre Jordan started last game out. If he starts again, I do like him, especially with Howard out. Spencer Dinwiddie played over 30 minutes in his last game for the first time in a little bit. Him and LeVert are both phenomenally priced. I think this game is definitely stackable. And you're looking at the four players I would go to first in a game stack. Now, DeAndre Jordan is interchangeable with Jared Allen depending on who starts. But if DeAndre Jordan continues to start at the center, I think Prince, Jordan, Dinwiddie, and LeVert, that's the four players that I would choose the game stack from Brooklyn. And I'd have no problems doing that against the Lakers. They all project well. I am going to have exposure to all four again, plus or minus Jared Allen with Jordan, depending on who starts. But I will get exposure to Taurean Prince because of the price. I will get exposure to Dinwiddie and LeVert for sure. And then one of Allen or Jordan. With that said, on the Lakers side, we got some work to do, so let's go ahead and do the dirty. Let's do some dirties here before we take our break right quick. Right quick then, shit then. Alright then, shit. Let's go. Pull up some Laker action. So LeBron is probable, AD is probable. I'm not going to make any changes to them. I do think that McGee sees at least a little bit of an increase. I mean, we got to give something to Kuzma with no Howard, because I think he's, at the very least, he's going to be more aggressive on that second unit. Kuzma really needs a lot of minutes to project well for us these days because AD and LeBron have just crushed his usage. But he's at least on the radar. And maybe if you want to project him for more minutes, I don't think it's completely out of the realm. I do think JaVale McGee, who's really cheap, we have to give a little love to here. He was already projecting well, so this might put him over the edge. He projects to be a top option. I'm totally fine with that. JaVale McGee is a guy that could do a lot and a little. But it's not like Brooklyn is some super massive big team. They can definitely afford to go small here. However, the minutes that McGee does get in this situation could end up being pretty damn good. But McGee earlier this year, back in October, once had a game. He played 19 minutes, went for 34 DraftKings points. It's not always like that. But admittedly, it's kind of hard to ignore that. Now, again, they can go smaller and just play Anthony Davis at the 5 most of the game. We could see that happen, and then that could lead to Kyle Kuzma getting more minutes at the 4 or the 3. Maybe Markieff getting more minutes. It's a possibility. But, it is what it is. I don't think Howard was getting a ton of minutes as is lately. We didn't even have him projected for a lot of minutes, as you guys can see. Man, I think that's it. Maybe Markieff Morris, we can give a little bit of a boost to. Not a ton that I'd be willing to give him, but we can give him a little something. I expect Kuzma to be the biggest benefactor, if anything. I'll actually raise his shit up to 28 right quick. Which still, probably not really in reach. Still kind of far out. Oh, no, that helped him out, actually. The 28 minutes helped him out on DraftKings. So anyway, it is what it is. That's it for the game by game. I got some projections to update here. For those of you subscribe to WiseTake.com. We'll be back. You don't got to go anywhere. Please hit that like button while you guys wait. We're going to be back with hour 2 to keep you guys updated with all the news that comes out all the way up until lock. So don't go nowhere. Gonna play some background music, just kind of hang out and chill. Check out CB Brown's cash game article, which is free today. I posted a link. Scroll up in the chat and you will see it. So don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. Try to answer some more questions, of course. And the most important part is to keep you guys updated until lock with the news. Arizona Drama says, you know who I was looking at that could ball out is Elf and Julius Randle against Washington. Yeah, we had a couple people on the chat earlier looking at that spot. Drama. Curry is out. Says Poole and Mulder will take over for him out. Yep. Arizona Drama says, I can't decide between White, Peyton, Shabazz, or Sexton. All can smash. Just a gamble picking which one. I completely agree. I would lean towards Sexton, then White, then Elf, then Shabazz. But that's just I'm ranking them in order of who I think is getting a boost. Nick says blowout potential, but Golden State and the Clippers, absolutely, definitely blowout potential. There's potential. Doesn't mean it's a lock, but there's potential. With that said, hit that like button, nation. We'll be back with part 2. Just hang tight. Gonna get Paulie D on the horn, and we'll be back to drop more dirties.
What we do here is go back.
What up, nation? We are back with part 2 of the NBA Wise stream. Appreciate those of y'all who hung around. CK013 here, as usual, joined by the GOAT, the true OG. Y'all know him as Paulie D, and y'all can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 D's. Paulie, what's happening?
What's happening, man? What a shit show yesterday's slate was.
Oh yeah. Shit show indeed.
R.I.P. to that slate.
Good riddance, right? That was wild. Of course, that was the day that you finally played on. You've been playing a little more. You had a little pop action on FanDuel. So I know Paulie had a little pop action on FanDuel, which is a site that, like, I don't want to say we don't usually play it because we have phases where we're in and out of it. But
it's been a while.
It's been a while,
and you know, even though I won money on it, like I really, like, I still prefer to play on DraftKings. That I can't stand no late swap, and it's just I don't know how you play basketball without late swap. It's just ridiculous.
Well, you'll be giving it a shot because you got some money over there at this point. And yesterday was just not. Well, do you have money there yesterday? After yesterday, that was some bullshit.
Yeah.
All right, we'll holla.
Actually, like, I had a lot of I did it backwards, right? Like I played Middleton on FanDuel yesterday, but I had two like $33 teams where I didn't play him that did well, that helped. But on DraftKings I faded him, but I faded him mostly for like Norm Powell, who ended up getting hurt and like didn't benefit. But I should have done it the other way because I had this feeling Middleton wasn't going to play. Like, I didn't want to like say it because it's just been so like reliable when the other guys are out. But like when Bledsoe got ruled out, I was like, they could just give this game up. And that's like exactly what happened. Like they went with the, we are punting this game lineup, like blatant, like, and they hung in too. Like it shows how bad Denver's been lately. Jesus Christ.
That shit really, like, I hope they get like destroyed by the league. I hope they get fined every which direction. I hope they get fined for every damn minute that a player sat. Because at the end of the day, whether I know the coaches are going to say, hey, we're here to play basketball. There is no logical explanation for what you did. You didn't, like, you were punting the game, right? So do you think Denver would have cared if you put out your starting lineup beforehand? Do you think they were going to look at your starting lineup and say, oh, shit, we got to make adjustments because the other Antetokounmpo is playing? They wouldn't have gave a shit. They would have kept things the way that there's literally no edge, no gamesmanship at all. That was strictly, in my opinion, it was a way that they probably thought they had a loophole and a way to rest their players without getting fined. But I hope that is not the case, and I hope they get drilled. Because there are people that obviously paid money to go see certain players. Now, they already knew Giannis wasn't there. And let's be real, it's not like the rest of the league is dying to see Middleton and Bledsoe play. So I get it. But at the same time, this is like whether they wanted to or not, the leagues have no choice. They're partnering with DraftKings and FanDuel and the sportsbook. They have to embrace the situation. So for them to do some shit like that, the only people that they hurt were the gamblers. And that is just like,
right, it's people watching.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Denver didn't give a fuck. They were happy. They were like, good, our team is terrible right now. We actually have a chance to win. And we did talk about that, how Denver's been awful. And yeah, like they barely beat a fucking G League team, a G League version of Milwaukee last night at home in a 4-6, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, so, you know, I try to keep the shit positive. I try to be better with my Twitter and not be so negative and say all some mean shit. But that really pissed me off, man. That was just a dirty move. It was unnecessary. And listen, I'm going to be real. I didn't even get burned by that shit because I play DraftKings. So I was able to go in and switch out of Middleton, switch out of DiVincenzo. It was fine. I actually had a profitable night probably because that happened. But it doesn't matter because I know we got members who play FanDuel who got fucked. We got members who play DraftKings who didn't have time to make those adjustments because they got families and shit they have to tend to.
And it wasn't really clear. You know, I mean, yeah, you pivot off of Middleton when he's not in the lineup, but that doesn't necessarily get you off DiVincenzo. You know what I mean? Like the guys they ended up playing, it was some fuck shit.
I agree.
It's the only thing I can say. Yeah.
No, I agree. It was some fuck shit. It's just, and again, as somebody who actually you can, and I did get a little screwed because I pivoted a lot of the Middleton to fucking Powell at 50. I had like 50% Powell. That sucked. But I mean, at the end of the day, regardless, man, like it's messed up that, you know, there's a lot of people that ended up getting burnt by that situation. It's one thing. Listen, you play Middleton plays the game, they get blown out, and Middleton sucks. Whatever, you take the L. But to get screwed like that was dirty. Because that was obviously something that they knew they were going to do going. And to have the nerve, to say Bledsoe's ruled out from a knee injury. Knowing damn well you're not playing anyone else. Like, yo, that was dirty. That was real dirty.
I know. Like, why didn't you announce everyone else out at that moment? It's like, what the? And, like, whatever happened to this 30 minutes before tip-off shit? Because, you know, that has not been upheld at all year. You know, like, we got that news 5 minutes a tip, basically.
Fucked.
You're muted, bro. Yeah, there you go.
I'm not muted. I didn't, you know, I just lost for words.
Yeah.
Trying to be, you know, people, I'm filtering myself. So even with the F-bombs flying and everything else, I'm still filtering myself. The things I want to say about this coach, everybody would judge me and think I'm a bad person. So I'm not going to say it because I don't want to do any damage to our company reputation because of some strong opinions that I got when I'm fucking mad. But it's all good. Woosah. New slate, new day. I didn't get a chance to talk to you today, so I guess I just had that vent ready for you. But anyway, Paulie, talk to me about this slate overall, man. What do you think? We got value up and down. We got mid-tier that's strong. We got studs. We got games. We got everything.
Yeah, so I don't think the value is all that strong. There's a couple plays I like, but they're in the mid, upper side of the value situation. I do think something's going to hit while we're on this show that kind of changes the slate, just a hunch. So if it does, we'll react accordingly. But I think it's a mid-tier day too. I know you're in the same boat. I did some research on FanDuel. I'm playing on it the last 2 days. And, for years, it's just been stars and scrubs, no thoughts about it. I did about 2 weeks, 14 days worth of research every single day. It has been a balanced, non-stars and scrubs build that has taken down the donkey in FanDuel. So things may be changing over there as well. But, on these big slates, unless the value's super strong, the mid-tier is just going to be loaded for the most part. And, unless you got studs that are going for 80s and value that are going 10x, the mid-tier is usually going to play out better, and I think we're in that situation today. Like, I'm not really into some of these guys they got ranked high, like JaVale McGee and like Troy Brown. I think's all right, but I think the mid-tier is loaded. That's kind of where I want to live as well.
Yeah, I definitely do like the mid-tier. Again, I think there's merit for all the builds. But, going back to your point with FanDuel, one thing that we've seen a drastic change, I mean, we always made fun of FanDuel for their pricing, but when we were doing the stars and scrub method over there, they were overpricing players. You had guys that were
Yeah.
like, 7K on DraftKings, 8K on FanDuel. So you needed to do that just
Mhm.
to reach the decent players. They've made their pricing extremely soft, like
So soft. So
ever since
soft.
NFL
Yeah.
ended. And so because of that, at the end of the day, you only needed that 3K player to be able to reach the 9K player. If you don't need the 9K player anymore, you don't fucking need the 3K player. You can just get two guys that are 7K that both go for 50 instead of trying to get the 60-20 deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I agree with you, and it makes sense. And on DraftKings, it goes, whenever there's soft pricing, it goes the same way. To me, it's about the pricing. If the pricing is really soft in the mid-tier, we probably don't need stars and scrubs. If the pricing is really tight and tough, like it is sometimes on DraftKings, that's when you should be trying to get stars and scrubs you to be able to reach. If you're going to overpay for the big guns. But definitely a nice, astute observation. And a lot of people always ask that question too, Paulie, because you obviously had that stars and scrubs cheat sheet for FanDuel a couple like last year, the year before it was successful. A lot of people ask that question, so I'm glad you addressed that shit. All right, Dan.
Yeah. Yeah. I was surprised, but every single one, you didn't need any of the min price guys. Yeah, maybe two guys under 5K, but usually they were like 4.8, 4.7, 4.5, like one stud, and you were able to, you look at the caliber of the lineups like that you're able to fit in with the extra 10K in salary and the soft pricing. You hit it on the head. It's the pricing so soft that it's now created a mid-tier build, a balanced build that's winning contests. And it's like, yeah, when you get, what's the Nets dude that's been balling out? Karis LeVert, like at 7K, like the guy's been averaging 40 plus. How is he 7,000? You can project him for 6X, just baseline. Like it's never been like that before. So just something, that I noticed, and it was 100% over the last 14 days. So that's a trend I'm not going to try to get cute with.
Boom. With that said, we did get some news in. Eric Gordon will play. Ben McLemore available to play. He was sick. Ryan Arcidiacono has been ruled out once again. With that said, Paulie, let's break this up into steers, mid-tier, steers and queers only come from Texas. That used to be an expression back in the day. But we got the studs up top, studs mid-tier value. Let's start with the studs. I know that you're more into the balance build, but if you are going to spend up, who are the guys you're looking to spend up on?
Porzingis, really like him. Guy's been on a tear. No one's really noticed. Don't think anybody goes here today. There's just so many other studs. But outside of last game's dud, 62, 66, 75, 49, 57 DraftKings points. Luka was there for 4 out of those 5 games. For FanDuel, it's kind of nice because Luka may get ruled out. And you're going to get Kristaps at super low ownership in a nut spot at that point if Luka's ruled out. But even if Luka's in, even with LMA back, the Spurs have been one of the worst teams allowing points in the paint all season long. They're like top 10 in turnovers and shots blocked, and that's like when Kristaps goes off. He's hitting multi-peripheral stats, double-digit rebounds, pretty much on layaway, and he really hasn't even shot that great recently. So if that comes around, the ceiling's just massive. But 9,300 on DraftKings, and I think he's right around there on FanDuel. Really like his price point matchup, and then the extra kicker that you may get Luka ruled out pretty late in the slate. That's 8 o'clock. Only a couple games that start after that where most people may not have the flexibility to change to him. So that's my favorite stud. After that, you've got Anthony Davis. Bigs against Brooklyn's been a thing for quite a while. This dude's locked in right now. Took over the end of that Milwaukee game. He's got in foul trouble. Started off terrible. I think he had 9 points at half. Ended with 43 and just was on fire at the end of the game. Close game against Clippers. 30 points. He scored 30 actual points in 3 of his last 3 games. Double-digit rebounds. No Dwight Howard, so the minutes should increase. Expecting this game to be close. Just, like a lot here on Anthony Davis. LeBron James did get, nicked up, a little groin injury. He's going to play, but Wouldn't be shocked if we re-aggravated that groins. You shouldn't come back that fast from. I don't see why they're playing him today. So I wouldn't be, surprised if like LeBron's minutes tick down a little bit and AD's ticked up just on that alone. If the game's not like demanding LeBron being on the court, and then I like James Harden. Houston coming off just 2 really embarrassing losses in a row, and actually 4 losses in a row to Orlando, Charlotte, and the Knicks, and then one to the Clippers, which that one's all right, but. This team desperately needs to turn things around. I think it's going to come from the top. Their captain, their best player. I know Westbrook's had, more usage than him of late. This actually lines up to be a good matchup for either one. Like Minnesota's been terrible down low. They don't have much rim protection. So Westbrook, could be fine as well. But I think Harden's going to kind of take this one personally. He's not been shooting well. I think he comes out and, does die dirty at home against a fast-paced team. I think the game's close, super high scoring. Love this game. My favorite game by far on the board today. I'm sure it's no shocker. I'm sure it's a lot of people's favorite, but then it'd be James Harden third. So that's the top 3 right there.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that, man. I like Westbrook. I like Harden. I like Anthony Davis. Those are my favorite 3 studs. Porzingis was definitely a little contrarian, but I'm with you, man. We know the Spurs give it up, whether LMA is there or not. They give up a ton of points in the paint. I know that's not Porzingis' specialty, but just in general, it's just he's been playing like a freak. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Lucas sitting. Again, I don't want to speculate or make up rumors, but I know he's dealing with a wrist injury. We know that he's had a thumb sprain injury he's playing through. He's been sick recently, and they have a game tomorrow, so something to keep an eye on. But if Luka's in, you'll get Porzingis extremely low owned. If Luka gets ruled out before lock, then that's obviously going to increase the ownership of Porzingis. Take us to that loaded mid-tier. Talk to me about that, homie.
All right. So, Colin Sexton, I've been playing every day. I don't see why we would stop, especially against the Bulls. Think this game is close. Think it could very high scoring. Both these teams whose seasons are over are actually playing kind of motivated. Like when the NBA starts to break down at this time of year, you start to see teams kind of throw in the towel like Detroit or Golden State. But these two are actually really competing, playing better than they did earlier in the year. And Colin Sexton's just been a beast. His price is just awesome on both sites. 30% usage or more, huge minutes. Hasn't even shot well and going, 30s and 40s. And, when he does shoot well, he's going to go for 50s plus, which he's shown us a lot lately. Just keep going there. Karis LeVert, especially on FanDuel, but both sites, taking over the lead role from Dinwiddie. Guys got triple-double upside all of a sudden, getting, peripherals, steals, blocks, assists, everything. And then against the Lakers, they're going to get up, and you want guards against the Lakers. Karis LeVert, what a stud. Way underpriced. Really like that. DeMar DeRozan, more so on DraftKings than FanDuel. He's a little, he's like 8K on FanDuel, but on DraftKings at 74. LMA's back, but he's been out for a little bit. But the big thing is no DeJounte Murray. Murray was kind of taking the usage away from DeRozan. Derek White's more of a guy that'll complement him than take away. And, at 74 against Dallas, a game I think will be close. Both these teams competing for the playoffs. Andrew Wiggins, he's been great for Golden State, getting a ton of usage and, a fast-paced game against the Clippers. With no Curry now, just expect him to get a lot of the volume and do what he's been doing. Maybe if the game stays closer than you'd expect, he goes wild. Keep my eye on the Mitch Robinson news. Julius Randle, I like anyway. He's got good history against Washington. But, with Portis, Randle, and Mitch Rob, Randle has lost some minutes. So that's only if Mitch Robinson gets ruled out. Well, I really like Randle. If Robinson's in, it's meh. Kobe White, the Bulls, a bunch of Bulls today. I do think Spencer Dinwiddie at 6'8" on DraftKings is actually interesting as well. If the Nets are in that game, probably multiple Nets pieces are doing well. We got Larry Nance, who, is playing all over the place for Cleveland and Tristan Thompson's ruled out. Malik Beasley from Minnesota, like just about everybody in the mid-tier for Minnesota. Love Naz Reid, Malik Beasley, Hernan Gomez. Marquez Chris, I think, is just a guy you got to keep playing while he's getting these big minutes. And like Kevin Looney's out against Clippers, who you do want to attack with bigs. TJ Warren against Boston. They've always struggled with like scoring guards. I know Warren's more of a forward, but he'll take like 15 to 20 shots, most of it off creating his own shot. And without Brogdon there, I think, the usage increase and the price where he's at is just too good a spot to pass up. There's a lot. I think John Morant's worth a look. Gordon Hayward, Ricky Rubio, CJ McCollum, Aaron Gordon's been playing phenomenally, and until at least Fournier gets back, you'd expect that usage to stay the same. Lots to like up there, but LeVert, Colin Sexton, probably my top two tier.
Yeah, man, especially on FanDuel, the whole Cleveland team just looks phenomenal, man. Just looks phenomenal. Real quick, as far as injury news, we mentioned Ryan Arcidiacono has been ruled out, so it looks like maybe Shaq Harrison gets the minutes that everybody was kind of anticipating he would get. I don't know what finally possessed them to play him, what they've been playing him, but needless to say, Jerome Robinson will start for Washington. We've got a lineup out of Napier, Beal, Robinson, Hachimura, Bryant. LaMarcus Aldridge, as we know, has been confirmed as playing. With that said, Paulie, I have some questions lined up for you. But in the meantime, talk to me about the value plays that you're looking at.
Yeah, so Otto Porter is my favorite value play on the slate. Arcidiacono getting ruled out doesn't hurt, just like one less bull. The minutes and the usage finally came back, and his price is 4.6 on FanDuel and like 4.9 on FanDuel, 4.6 on DraftKings. Got the boost up to 25 minutes with a 34% usage. There's really no one else around to like take a ton of it, and it's against Cleveland. Just like nut spot. He's gonna get Dick Cock from Europe's defense, who's Nasedi Osman, who's terrible at defense. So I think he just kind of is a misprice. Goes for at least 6x, probably more, in a game that I just really like, stacking multiple players from. On the same team, you've got Wendell Carter Jr., big. Used to be a great spot for bigs, Drummond there. It's not phenomenal, but he's just underpriced. Another guy getting 25 minutes, may even see an increase. Derek White for San Antonio, Patty Mills for San Antonio. Not only is DeJounte Murray out, but so is Lonnie Walker. I'm cool with Aaron Holiday. Marcus Morris from the Clippers, I think, is the value play you want to look at. I know he's not a point guard like Lou Will, but I think he'll see the biggest usage and minutes increase with Lou Will going down. Kyle Kuzma at 4.4, I think, is certainly worth a look with Dwight Howard out. I think he'll get significant minutes, in this game, whether it's close or not. I think he's kind of game flow proof. Who else we got? Rui Hachimura, Thomas Bryant, like both of them. Davis Bertans, more of a mid-tier price, but want to mention him as well. Like, I like all those guys more than Troy Brown, but Rui Hachimura in particular today. I wouldn't get off Tom Bryant either. Disappointed me yesterday. Don't love the back-to-back thing. But no, it's not a back-to-back. I'm sorry. One of those guys is going to go off today. I kind of lean Rui. The Knicks are pretty good against centers, but I would get exposure to all that Washington value. Josh Jackson's been awesome for Memphis. Orlando's actually been playing really fast. Very, very poor defense. And, Josh Jackson's basically gone for 26 or more in his last 4 straight, getting 22 minutes, potentially more, taking double digit. Feeling really good in this role. Starting to, I wouldn't be surprised he moves in the starting lineup pretty soon for these guys. This kid's good. And those are the ones that really stand out. I think Jared Allen is worth a look from Brooklyn. They kind of need his size for the Lakers. Him or DeAndre Jordan could get into foul trouble. The other would benefit. Jared Allen's just really cheap. There was a time where I wouldn't even think twice about playing him at 4-7, regardless of the opponent. Clearly, DeAndre Jordan's moved in on some of his territory, but something could happen today that leads him to get more minutes than he should, or just in the minutes that he does play, he does well. It's just too cheap for a guy who can double without even really trying. But Otto Porter's my favorite, and I like a bunch of that value from Chicago and Washington.
Sure enough, where are you at with Shaq Harrison?
He's all right, but it's hard for me to believe that those minutes are gonna be there for sure, and I don't see him like getting the usage. Like I think like he's all right. I don't want to knock him, but I don't think he's going for like 40 plus. I think maybe 25, 28, something like that. He's fine, but I like Porter. I like Wendell Carter. I even would play Markkanen over him at this point, but I get it. I wouldn't say don't play him, but I prefer guys.
Fair enough. We got about 28 minutes to lock, so we got some decisions to make. We got a little bit of time here to do some dirties. For those of you interested in doing that, I'm gonna pull up the chat real quick as we go through here, ask some questions. Hit that like button if you haven't hit it already, Nation. Really helps us out, goes a long way, and allows us to continue to do what we do, continue to do the free content. With that said, Arizona Drama says, after looking into it, I think I'm going to take Hayward over PG just for the fact that Golden State might get blown the fuck out tonight. Definitely a possibility. Golden State sucks, right? Definitely a possibility. Nick says, how do y'all like Gordon Hayward with Jaylen Brown out?
Yeah, I like Hayward. Balled out last time. I think that game's close to potential playoff candidates. Game really shot out last time they played. I'm fine with Gordon Hayward.
Willie Hoop says Paulie's right on about Porzingis. Easy 50 burger for him. Mike Dunn, if Luka gets ruled out, how many Mavs would you play?
Probably 2 at least. Maybe a third, but definitely Porzingis in a guard.
For sure. Our boy Tenelson, what up, fellas? Let's get it. Is there any Mitch Rob updates yet? Not yet. Trust me, I'm waiting because I don't have a value play that I'm totally comfortable with. Like I have a bunch on here that I'll take shots with, but none that I'm like totally comfortable with. Portis would be one that I would be extremely comfortable with. So patiently waiting. It's funny too because we did get a starting lineup for the Knicks. So you would have thought that they would have given us that news. Knicks will start Elfrid Payton, RJ Barrett, Mo Harkless, Julius Randle, Taj Gibson. The Spurs starting lineup is out. They will start Derek White, Bryn Forbes, DeMar DeRozan, Trey Lyles, and Aldridge. The Magic's lineup is out. Magic will start Fultz, Owundu, Enos, Gordon, and Vooch. We also heard Luka Doncic.
I had a question real quick. Do you like DJ Augustine?
A little bit. I don't mind him. Yeah. I mean, I think his ownership would be lower. He's been the one getting winning in the minutes department. He's been playing like 26 a night, so I don't mind him. Dorian Finney-Smith expected to play. Luka Doncic expected to play. That's where we're at.
I think
with the news. Holla. But yeah, I don't mind DJ Augustine. He was the guy before I knew about the Spurs and all that. When I took a peek at the slate the night before, he was the one that I kind of had highlighted. Obviously, there's other things that have opened since then, but he's been playing like 26 minutes a night, and they got Memphis pace up spot, good spot for guards. So I'm not opposed to that at all. Hopefully, we get this Mitch Rob news though. It's kind of ridiculous that we have it at this point. With that said. That's a question I want to ask. Kobe, this is from Arizona Drama. Kobe White, Ricky Rubio, or Sexton? He's already got Elf in his team.
Sexton.
Calling Sexton. Yeah, I have like a tiered system for that automatically. Like Sexton's number one because he's going to play 50 minutes. 40 minutes, realistically. Kobe White's number two because he's starting. No Levine. I just think his usage is going to be awesome. And I think the fact that he's starting tells us he is going to play well into the 30s in minutes. And then Rubio is third for me. He's a tournament play, but there's really no like super drastic boost in my opinion. Obviously, DeAndre Ayton could end up playing. which could change things. But I have it in the same kind of order personally. To Nelson, gotta love Kobe, but if you want to be sneaky, play Shaq instead, or play Valentine at small forward on FanDuel for a smooth 3,900 and pay up at point guard. Arizona Drama says, you know who's sneaky and did well last time against Houston is Josh Okogie. He's cheap and can hit value for sure. Other than that, I don't see any other questions, so we'll keep rolling in that thing. Still waiting on the Mitch Rob news. Hopefully we get some of this stuff because I got to adjust these projections as we go. I gotta make some adjustments to Mr. JaVale McGee right now because I'm getting a little too much of him. Definitely merit for that balance build though, Paulie. I agree with you completely. It's very clear that most people are gonna panic and go stars and scrubs. So not for nothing, but you mentioned Hachimura. If there was anybody due for a bounce back spot, it's got to be him. He played like 40 minutes the other night and didn't do dick.
Yeah.
Like the law of averages just tells you that can't happen again. Like the law of averages just says, no, he's gonna fucking bounce back at some point. So that was something I've been meaning to discuss. I couldn't believe when I saw it, like how bad his game was and how many minutes he actually played. I was stunned. Not to mention it was against a team in Miami that has really struggled against that position. So it was just kind of mind-boggling. I mean, Bertans did well, so I guess he was the one that made up for it. But damn, that's all I'm saying. I mean, damn.
I'm with you.
I'll add a PM. Who, as of right now, I know it's still early, but like, who would you say is the player you're most likely to have the most exposure to at this point? You can give me like, if you don't have one yet, you can give me a range of like,
No, I mean on the high end it's Porzingis, and then AD, Harden, Westbrook. In the mid tier it's Colin Sexton, Naz Reid. I'm forgetting one. Who's my favorite mid tier guy? Fuck. Karis LeVert. And in the value, it's Otto Porter, and then like Hachimura, DJ Augustine, stuff like that.
Stuff like that and shit, though. Like that and shit. I feel you. Feel you, bro. Make some quick adjustments here. Man, come on with this Mitch Rob news, man. That would make my life a lot easier. I'm waiting to unload on Bobby Porter. Man, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna get what I want. Mitch Rob's gonna play and ruin my life. He's gonna play. He's gonna ruin my life because he doesn't care. He don't fucking care. Nobody cares, man. Nobody cares. In all seriousness, I'm surprised they gave us the lineup and didn't actually tell us if Mitch Rob's playing. I mean,
I know. I feel like because there was like they didn't report anything. Nothing to report kind of thing.
Yeah. Like no news is good news for Mitch Robinson kind of thing. Like,
yeah, that
sucks. I was really looking forward to not that you couldn't play Portis anyway. Just obviously.
No, you can, but nowhere near as like solid.
Exactly. So that's just a huge disappointment. Let me see who else I have to adjust in this bitch to make some sense out of this shit. Let's go there and faster check. Trying to get things a little bit more balanced for us instead of giving me so much of a heavy concentration on fucking certain players. Let's go. I think I still have to make an adjustment to Harrison. Shaquille win. Let's see. 28.5 will do. All right, I'm about to run this crunch. How many teams you playing today? Across like combined. Like,
I got 20 on DraftKings and like 60 on FanDuel.
Oh, that's pretty healthy.
Yeah, I just 20'd the $4 on DraftKings.
I love that content.
Because I'm nervous about multi-siting and getting it all in.
It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. Obviously, you remember that I gave that a go recently, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. But it gets stressful. I mean, we've had those meltdown sessions with just one site. You can imagine what that's like having two sites to deal with. But I personally, and obviously I'm rooting for you because you are Paulie D to OG. But I think you're going to enjoy playing this way. And I think that you're going to have some success doing that. Because it just makes sense. And like, for instance, last night, we talked on the show about it making more sense to actually fade Middleton on FanDuel just because there were other options who could have done better. And, I mean, that would have been dumb if Middleton did play. That would have obviously been stupid. But it's crazy shit like that. On DraftKings, on the other breath, like you would have been fucked on FanDuel if you did play him, but then if you had it on DraftKings, you knew for sure you'd be able to bail on them 100%, just not play him at all. Like not even a worry. Even if you thought maybe Middleton was going to play just off the bench for whatever reason, you wouldn't have had to worry because you had him covered on FanDuel, and also on DraftKings, you would have been like, I just don't need him at all. So there's definitely some advantages if you can withstand it. Obviously, with us doing the content the way we do it, it can be difficult for us to get up in there from time to time. But I wonder if DeAndre Jordan's going to start again. That's another piece of information that I'm kind of like.
Yeah, because if he does, I like him. If he doesn't, I like Allen. Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with both. But I want the starter.
I agree. I want the starter. What I mean? Yeah, I want the guy who's going to get the first crack, especially with Howard out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if we don't have anything on this asshole Mitch, then I'm assuming that means he's going to go. But hopefully, I'm wrong on that, and we get some late breaking shit. We got about 19 minutes to lock. Just going over some things, Nation, with some teams, and then I'll bounce back in there and see if we have time to answer a couple more questions. But I got a shit ton of teams today, so I got to do some 30s.
You got any interest in Dame?
I do, actually. I was getting a good amount of him earlier. I think I've lowered my exposure to him since then. But I did have some interest. Again, it's hard to go substantial and take that big risk and, with the way he's been lately. But at the same time, like, I mean, come on. If he was still doing Dame things, that price is ridiculously low. Like, that price is just crazy low. Yeah. He's still doing Dame things.
Yeah.
That we know.
And I think that's like, on the verge of coming back hard.
And long?
It might be.
Shit.
It really might.
Shit. I mean, at a certain point, he's got to look like, look, my team sucks when I don't do this. When I don't play this way, my team sucks. I think right now I was looking at somewhere between around 15%. Now, here's the thing. Normally I project him for at least 38 minutes. And if I do that again today, we're looking at like 20 to 30% of him, which is cool. It's just we have, that's going to take away from some of the other players. So right now I lowered it to a point where I'm getting around 15%. How much Dame would you be comfortable playing?
Yeah, I wouldn't even want that much. I think he's like a 20 or less guy, just someone you want a little exposure to. I think he'll be very low.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For
sure. I don't think people want to take that chance.
Yeah.
Getting dirty is getting dirty, but I mean, still, people got to live. Oh, shit, what did I do?
People do.
I just did something. It just went elf crazy on me. Started giving me a whole fuck ton of elf.
Do you like Joval?
Kind of. Like, Memphis is a team that I realize I don't have any of. I just couldn't really get myself to find a way to make that work. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it makes sense. They don't have it. Like, if you put Dieng out there at all, he's going to get his cookies ate. That's just like, I mean, I don't know how to put that nicely.
He'll get dirty.
Yeah, it'll be ugly. It will be ugly. Ugly and cheese. What the hell did I do to this man's projection to make him pull up like this? Like, come on. I didn't mean to do all that. I was just trying to get a little bit of love. I mean, shit.
I did shit. What's your top 3 favorite game stacks? I'll let you. What?
Well, definitely the Houston-Minnesota game. That's my favorite. Like I said, it's just hard for me to envision Houston blowing anybody out right now. So I'm going to assume that game is going to be competitive. If anything, maybe there's some concern that the other side gets blown out a little bit in there. That'd be far-fetched, but you never know. Shit, I damn bet. Hold up. Now I'm not getting... I can't find no middle ground with my man here, man. What the fuck? It's either giving me, like, no elf at all, or it's giving me way too much. I'm having a real hard time finding this middle ground. But it's getting long and hard for a PM. 36.23. Are you going to stop fucking around on the fuck around or what? All right, so the other game stacks. So that's my number 1. I think Lakers Brooklyn would be my number 2. Mm-hmm. And then the Cleveland game, simply because of minutes. Like, the Chicago side's a little tougher, but the Cleveland side is just like they're playing so many minutes. I'd be totally fine with just mid-tearing the shit out of them, Going ham, eggs, and bacon on them. Breakfast style. Long johns and thing. And Everett.
Harden or Westbrook?
I lean a little bit towards Westbrook. I just can't get over how he's been playing. But I'm going to have them both pretty substantially. I'll probably have somewhere around 40 Westbrook, like 35 Harden. This is a situation where I have no problems playing them together either. I don't know. I'm not going to force that. But if I found out that I had a bunch of teams together, I'd be okay with it. Like, this is the one spot, I think, right? Like,
there's a couple, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, there's a few out there for sure. All right, so I'm starting to be okay. How much Nas Reed are you playing, bro?
A lot.
Like how much though? Give me a range. Range it for me. I don't want to hear your final teams build, but give me like a range.
35 to 55.
I'm at 35% right now. It's still rolling, but I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to raise James Johnson's projection and have that rule set. Because if it's not Nas Reed, then it's going to be Necktat. One of these guys is going to do the dirty today, though. Right? Like,
and it possibly could be both. I think you could actually play both. You know, I'd prefer not to, but I think you can.
Agreed. I don't think it's out of the realm, but at the same time, I would prefer not to as well. So I must have Nas. Yeah, I got Nas Reed at some serious projection status here, and that's why I'm not really getting any Necktat. Or am I getting Necktat and I just don't know it? James Johnson. Nah, I'm getting very little Necktat. So let me put some cap action on right quick and see if that changes things. Doing something strange for a piece of change. There's a couple pieces of information I'd like to know. Like, for instance, is DeAndre Jordan still starting? You know, that's a piece of information that I find somewhat important. Oh, man, some of these positions are just ridiculously deep. Shit, all right, then. Where my man Shaq Harrison at? Sucking on it hard and long, though. Alright, no more than, like, 30 U. Alright, let's see what these dirty burgers is looking like.
Burgers.
All day. Pat Bev. Right, we got about 13 minutes to lock. Still do not have anything. Yeah, anything that's important. Anything that's starting like now. Pacers will start Aaron Holiday, Oladipo, TJ Warren, Sabonis, and Turner. Nothing new there. All that hoping and praying for nothing, man. We're not getting Bobby Portis Day. I've accepted it.
Yeah.
We're not getting it.
Yeah, it's not.
I got another name to throw at you. What's your interest level in Malik Beasley?
I do like him, but like I actually prefer Nas Reed first, and then I like D'Angelo Russell is due for a monster game with them. He just like hasn't had it.
Agreed.
I wouldn't play Russell and Beasley together. You know, I think it's like one or the other to like maximize their price. And I don't know, like I kind of lean Russell, but I love that game like by a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just I don't see how it doesn't score at least 240.
Yeah, I'm trying to load up on it best I can right now, son. Get that I ate then life.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Shit. Alright, let me upload these projections and then I'll pop in the chat until we get any other piece of news, but looks like this is what we write. What time does that Knicks game even start, man? Some horse.
I think 7:30.
Oh, okay, so they do have a little bit of time.
No, 7.
Oh, it is 7? So what
7.
the fuck?
No. Yeah. Boston and New York. Those are the only two that start at 7.
They're being all
nothing at 7:30.
Being all dumb and shit. Alright, I'm popping a chat while this shit populates. Oh man, I was liking the way it was going before. Why did it get all different on me? Get different. It got different. Alright. Popping up in here now. Luka playing. Okay. Mike Dunn, thoughts on House tonight for value?
The Newell House, I think that's a little deeper than you need to go, but yeah, anything from that game that's cheap, I'm into.
Holla. Blake Patrick, center on FanDuel. Wendell Carter, Marquise Chris, or Andre Drummond?
Stand by. I had somebody. I do like Andre Drummond, but I feel like I had something cheap on FanDuel at center that I really liked.
Bryant,
Just
maybe?
give me 1 second.
Thomas Bryant?
No, I mean he's alright too. He's probably gonna smash because I'm like playing more Hachimura.
That's how it
You know?
goes.
Center. Oh, it's Porzingis. I like.
Yeah, that's right.
No, he's forward. He's power forward on
Right.
Drum Dog Millie. Wendell Drum Dog. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Drum Dog or Wendell Carter, but I think you go Drum Dog at 8-2. He's got big upside there.
Drum Dog slumming. Shit, I'm never gonna get rid of this dude.
Who that?
Tarian Prince. He's 4-1 on DraftKings today, man.
I know. I got like 35% of him. I didn't even like adjust him. It's like, okay.
Yeah, that's just what it is. You're like that. Yeah. That's how we're living. That's how we're living today.
That's it. Yeah. I'd really like to know if DeAndre Ayton is playing today too.
Yeah,
if you can get that.
Whole lot of news we're waiting for up in this world, on this planet. Hit that like button if you haven't already, Nation. Nick wants to know best power forward plays. Oh, he just made a correction. I meant small forward. Best small forward plays is what he meant.
Otto Porter is the best play at small forward. I'm guessing he's talking about FanDuel. So I also like Hernan Gomez, also like TJ Warren. Gordon Hayward is underpriced. Paul George is nice if you got a lot of money.
Holla.
But Otto Porter, I'm going to go with today.
Is there anybody at 3,800 for Nick that you see at small forward over there on FanDuel?
3,800 or less?
Yeah.
James Enos, Juan Toscano Anderson. Thin, but if it's got to be down there, that's where I'm going.
Fair enough. Let me see. What's up?
Would you take a shot on Marquise Morris?
Markieff? I could if I felt like I needed it. If I really love stars and scrubs and there wasn't enough out there, sure. Especially with Howard out, but like you, I'm not really into the stars and scrubs, so I just don't. Like, what does that got to do for me? You know?
Yeah, nothing.
I'd be more likely to take a shot on Kuzma, I think, at this point. And I don't know how much of that I'll do, but I'd be more likely to take, because he's at least that mid-tier value-ish. Marlo Stanfield, Whiteside or Vooch?
Great name, by the way. Whiteside.
We already covered Nick. Mike Dunn, thoughts on Elf tonight?
Like him a lot.
Elf on the shelf. That's how we do it. Give me one player that you're like underweight on that you're worried about, if any.
Luka?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. That was the guy in my head. I'm like, yeah, I asked you that question because I had seen 5% Luka, and I was like, fuck. It's like I didn't expect to, only have 5% of that guy. But yeah, I think that makes sense. How much JaVale McGee are you playing?
Like none.
Like none? Not at all.
Maybe I have 5%, but I have like no interest at all.
I don't disagree. Like I said, like he's gonna start. He's most likely gonna start. He could play 16 minutes tonight. However, he could go for 30 in those 16 minutes, just because. Regardless, it has nothing to do with Dwight Howard. It's just the only reason I say that is because now the difference is before he wouldn't have been popular at all, so I don't think it would have really hurt you much. Now it's possible that he's a little popular, and maybe he's not, but it's possible that he's more popular this time around. And so that's the only reason that I'm like, maybe I want a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe I want to have some kind of percentage, because now it's at a point where if for whatever reason he does smash, he went from not being owned and it not really hurting us to now being owned and then, potentially screwing us in a spot that we don't want to be screwed in. If you know what I'm saying, D and the H type shit. You know what I mean?
For sure.
D and H type shit. We got 5 minutes to lock, Nation. We're gonna build our teams, kind of rock this out. Hopefully, we all work together and do dirties and help each other do dirties, and so dirties are done. Are you really playing 30% Prince?
Yeah.
The price is so good. The
Yeah.
price is so good. Oh, but that could be Bobby Portis if the Knicks would stop fucking around with me. That's a big if.
True that.
That's a big if. Come on now, 24 point what? 24.68. Actually, maybe I'll let that rock. Yeah, I think I'll let that rock a little bit. Rock out there. Shit, I ain't that shit. Man, when you're building 300-something teams, it's amazing how like the exposures start off and then where they actually end. It's like, wow, what a journey. How did I get here? It's just like, you know what I mean? Like, that was one hell of a ride. Still nothing on Mitch, so I'm assuming he's playing if they're just not going to say a word about him.
Yeah. It's got to be, right?
Yeah. I mean, by now they would have had to have said it. Unless we see some bullshit like yesterday, he just don't play. Well, I guess that's going to, you know what? That's going to depend. If Milwaukee got away with doing what they did yesterday, we might see more teams try that shit.
I know. Now teams are going to do that shit. I know. I mean, I don't see why the Knicks have any reason to, but.
They can suck it long and hard for all I care.
Yeah.
Got about 3 minutes to lock. I'm about to do my final you know. Get up out of here. Try to enjoy the rest of my night, as stressful as it may be. You know, it's one of those slates where, like, you're not going to be... On FanDuel, set it and forget it. It is what it is. On DraftKings, you probably ain't going to be done until the last game actually starts. Absolutely. All right, well, I'm uploading this crunch action. DK entries, let's go. All right, 320 teams in there. Skrillmatic. I'm pretty comfortable. I know, lately I've been taking like some high exposures and things like that. Today, not at all, bro. Today I'm like super balanced, like maybe even too balanced. And I don't know why. Like I capped a few players, but nothing like crazy. I guess because the projections I have everything so tight right now. My highest exposed player is 46%.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
That's unlike you. I think you're going to do well with that.
But it wasn't even on purpose. All I capped was the value
That's
players.
That's how close the projections
Right, outside of the value. So once I capped the value, I said no more than like 35% of this one and this one and this one. Give me the rest. This is just what it brought me back. So we'll have to see. 320 teams. So it's not like I don't have a lot of each. Like 46% of Anthony Davis out of 320 teams is still 146 teams. So there's still like plenty to work with. But yeah, very curious to see how we end up with this one. We got 2 minutes to lock, Nation. Make sure you get them up in there. I'm gonna pop up in here. Marquise Chris or Montrezl Harrell? I say Chris. What do you think?
Chris, yeah.
With that. Nick says, would you still mess with Kristaps Porzingis even though Luka's starting?
Yes, yeah, I love Luka. I have Kristaps, no matter what.
MG says he's also very flat today. Highest exposed player is 37%. I guess it's just one of those days. And MG says $2 mini. Let's fucking go. Let's do it. 1 minute to lock, Nation. 1 minute to lock right quick. Rubio or White on FanDuel with Sexton, Porter, and Nance in his lineup. That's from Neil Dogg.
White. I mean, they're totally different prices. That's cray to me.
Cray, Neil. Sorry, question late. Didn't even notice it over there. I thought it was from yesterday. Hit that like button if you haven't already, Nation. We are getting ready to lock up and get up out of here. We will be back tomorrow. There it is. We are at lock. Good luck tonight. If you get some screenshot action, don't be greedy. Don't be shy. Tweet us at @wise_take. We want to see it too. We'll help you brag a little bit as you deserve it, especially with the way the NBA wild world of the NBA has been lately. But that's going to do it for us. Hit that like button on your way out. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.